And our last award of the evening is the Gloria Gartz Award. The Gloria Gartz Award goes to a member of the community who may or may not be a member of the club, but who has, through her actions and accomplishments, demonstrated innovation and vision, a generous and nurturing spirit, respect for diversity, a minimum of 10 years empowering women, and at least one noteworthy achievement. And again, I can tell you that we had many good nominees for this. It was a difficult choice, and yet the woman who is being given this award tonight is truly deserving. And to have her bestow that honor is Eleanor Beasley, last year's Gloria Gartz Award winner. Eleanor?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome and let's congratulate our 2014 Gloria Gartz Award honoree, Ellen Snortland. Wow! That's it.
Okay, so you grow up with a name like Snortland, which phonetically is spelled land. You're going to be very interested in defending yourself. I'm just saying. So it's not completely an accident that I would get into self-defense. All right, so the man with the knife, indeed, was the one that facilitated my examining what the heck is up with women considering themselves so defenseless. And so before I go on, I have to say that I am so grateful to the different communities in my life that are here to support me. I have the best people in my life. I have people from the Hunger Project. I have people from Consumer Watchdog. I have people from Landmark. I have people from my Writer's Workout. I have Lisa Gaeta here, who's my co-author and one of the main movers of us training the women in TJ. And I have more people in the back from the United Nations Association, and let's see who else is represented, and Mac Valley, and then my darling husband, Ken Gruberman. So I couldn't go any further without just thanking all my communities for what it is that you provide for me, and 50-50 leadership. And have I left anybody out? Please shoot me if I have. Oh, and my contractor is here. Okay, so let me just cut to some of the chases here. Here's the thing. When I started this, I did a 20-hour training with Impact Personal Safety that completely transformed my life. I walked in one way and I walked out another, and that was the experience of my being a potentially dangerous human being. Now, why is that profound? Well, it's profound because if you're walking around in the world and not even conscious that you're swimming in this water of please, please don't let anything happen. Oh my God, please don't let anything happen. I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. To walking out with, you know what? I have a fighting chance. That is an existential leap in being. And one of the collateral benefits of finding out I was a potential badass is that I was able to like men better. Which is like, wow, I didn't realize that I had energy tied up with wondering if I should be afraid of this one, or if I should be afraid of that one, or if I should watch myself around this guy. So people don't think of self-defense being something that's other than learning how to fight. But let me tell you something. I had the great opportunity to interview, along with my friend Marta Stern, women 8 years after we trained them in the factory in TJ. And all of them, 100%, said it was the most important experience of their entire life. One woman, after she took the training with us, went home and said to her husband, I am going to go back to school. I don't want to work in a factory for the rest of my life. I'm going to learn how to do computers. And she had indeed moved into the front office. And the underpinning of that is that before she had taken the self-defense training, she was afraid to even bring it up. She was afraid that her husband would be a certain way about it. And, you know, it's like, she didn't even have to be afraid of him, but she didn't know. It wasn't even on her screen to say, this is what I want to be. This is where I want to go. And that fear drives so many people's lives is unacceptable to me. Absolutely unacceptable. And I also wanted to say that I wore my mom's outfit tonight because my mother never spoke in public, ever. And nobody said, gee, Barbara, what do you think? Nobody asked her to speak in public, and if somebody had asked her to speak, she probably would have said, oh, I don't really have anything to say. But I want you to know that my mother's work is right here, because I was my mother's work. And it was my mother who transformed that girl's life in that factory. Absolutely. And everything that I do, everything that I stand for is because my mother had a vision of what was possible for me. She may not have gotten to manifest it, but she made sure that I would. And she had something that I want to have you all think about. She had something in our home, which was a woman that we looked up to almost on a daily basis, who didn't make her life about looking good, who didn't make her life about conforming, who didn't make her life about competing with fashion. Man, that woman was Eleanor Roosevelt. And my mom held her up as, you know what, this is somebody you could be like. And you know what? Eleanor Roosevelt had a very long shelf life because her life had meaning into her, I think it was 90s. And she had no concern, at least that she manifested, about how she looked. John F. Kennedy wanted her endorsement, and she had him come to Valkill, which was her little cottage very close to Hyde Park. And she served John F. Kennedy cornflakes and toast. You gotta love that. And I said, you know what? I want to be like that. I want my life to mean more than, gee, am I fashionable, and gee, when I'm not gorgeous and young anymore, that I gotta hang it up. I want to be in my deathbed going, hey, well, do you know how to defend yourself? Because, I'm sorry, being able to draw a boundary, being able to say no and mean it, being able to have an unambiguous response to somebody so that they know what you mean is really important for personhood. It is profoundly important to be able to say no. And a lot of our classes start out with women in their 40s, 30s, 20s saying, no, well, maybe. Well, they don't want to make anybody mad. They don't want to go out of that people-pleasing comfort zone, which is highly ineffective for being a person. And I could go on forever, and I won't. But I just want to point something out. A lot of people say, well, you know, women just aren't violent. They're inherently by nature gentle. They're smaller than men. Blah blah blah. Well, I'm going to say that maybe who does that view serve? As far as I can tell, those kind of views only serve predators. And I'll leave you with one of my favorite analogies, and that is, if you're walking up the street and you encounter a growling dog, what do? You get in the face. Get the hell out? Is that what you said? Kick it in the face. Yeah. Okay. Kick it in the face. All right, that's one approach. I wouldn't get that close, but you can cross the street. There are any number of things you can do. But I'll tell you one thing you don't do. You don't check to see if it's a male or a female to see if you respect its boundary or not. You certainly do not. It is not a gendered conversation with anybody except for humans. Which is like, wow, what's up with that? Who does it benefit for women to be unbounded? I don't know. You know what I meant. Speaking, I don't like binding either. But, and if you get a chance, the action that I would love for you to be left with is this. There is a segregation in literature. A lot of men that I know have never picked up a book that's so-called a woman's issues book. It's almost like a Jane Crow exists. It's like, well, if it's a woman's issues book, then it's not for me. Well, I'm going to say that it is. Half the world's population, your sister, your mother, your wife, your niece, your daughter, They're in that population. And the man that read my book in TJ and had a factory, he had never considered what it might be like to be a woman. Because he was tall, he's European, blonde. Nobody hassles him on the street. He has never experienced the vulnerability of walking to a factory. And you didn't know at that time, especially with the Juarez murders, if the pinche on the corner was just being a jerk or whether it was a prelude to a kidnapping. You really didn't know, and it was terrifying. It was a form of domestic terrorism for the women who work in those factories. Very, very high stakes, very, very scary. And so our factory owner knew that. The other thing is that another man in North Dakota, which is where I'm from, you know, it's like all the Norwegians. A shirt, yay! Did I hear? Yay! Okay, yes, right. Okay, these are my Norwegian constituents. He read my book because, hey, there aren't that many Snortlands out there writing books. So he thought, what the hell, I'm going to read it. So because he read my book, 4,000 women in North Dakota have gone through impact. Because he crossed that gender border and said, this is not a woman's problem. This is a human rights problem. It's a human problem, and I'm going to embrace it. And he did something about it. So because of that, 4,000 women in North Dakota have had the benefit. So I know, isn't that cool? So, you know, have men read my book, have them read our new book, The Safety Godmothers. And I'm really proud to say that it's out. Yes, she's holding up a copy. And there's something profound knowing that something that you've written can actually change lives and save them. I got an email, and this is my last anecdote. I got an email from a woman who said, I heard you on NPR. And you said a knee could be kicked out with 15 pounds of force. And I had never heard of that. I didn't know that. And a week later, I was doing my laundry in a laundromat, and a man jumped me, knocked me to the ground, and I remembered your interview on the radio, and I kicked his knee, and I broke his knee, and I got away. And he was arrested for being a serial rapist and murderer. And so I want to thank you for your radio appearance. It saved my life. So whether it's saving lives or having someone have the courage to say, I'm going back to school, honey. The kids are going to get their degrees, honey. Whatever that is. You know, it's just a joy. And thank you for recognizing my work. Thanks.